We're going to be learning about motion and micro interactions. Now, this is one thing that's really going to set you apart from other designers that totally forget about it. You're going to understand why motion and micro interactions are so important in visual design and UX. And trust me, it's going to be amazing. Then we're going to jump right into Figma and we're going to learn about Smart Animate and we're going to start building some crazy prototypes. We will work through several exercises and build things like parallax scrolls, trigger delays with new messages, tooltips, and more. Just take a look at this. Being able to have a parallax animation like that and showcasing that work is going to set you apart. You're going to learn also about interactive components, things like this, and how we can reduce the amount of connections we need to showcase some repeatable interactions like button hovers, checkbox clicks, and much more. We're going to also build some of our very own smart animation prototypes for our product. We're going to learn how to build parallax prototypes, onboarding, dragging prototypes, overlays with cards and models, and then some nice little micro interactions around buttons and clicking and all. Fun stuff, so just get ready, buckle up, it's going to be a fun ride. We're going to get into Smart Animate now. Figma has some really cool prototyping tools here. We all know if Smart Animate is by now just a little bit, at least now it looks like a matching layers, recognizes these differences, and then animates the layers between the frames. So what does that mean? Let's jump up here. So if we look at this frame, the scale frame and the scale frame, we have two frames. And within those frames, we have these elements. Now, you'll notice that these elements are named exactly the same. There are scale and scale. The only difference is this one is a bit larger. Now, Figma will automatically pick that up and animate it to grow instead of just having an instant. Animation from here to here. Smart Animate allows you to quickly create advanced animations. So you can use some more Animate to replicate things like loading sequences, parallax scrolling, touch gestures like dragging, swiping, long pressing. You can use slider, toggles, and switches. We can expand content like showing more and less. We can pull to refresh all those different things we can replicate with Smart Animate. Now, what it does is, like I mentioned, it looks for those matching layers. And that also means that your layers, if you have more than one in the frame, and we'll get into that. But if you have more than one, you're going to need to ensure that from one frame to the next, those layers are set up the exact same way if you want them to animate nicely. So Figma does take into account both the layer's name and where it sits within the hierarchy. For layers that match between frames, Figma will recognize what's changed and apply that transition to animate between them. So let's get into the different properties. Let's get into the properties that Smart Animate will actually animate. So the first one I want to talk about is scale. Let's jump right in because I have these connected. So I'm going to press the presentation button, and we're going to see our scale flow over here. So what it does means if an object changes in size between frames, Figma will animate it shrinking or growing like that. Pretty sweet, right? If we go back to our design, we will see the on-click interaction. I just have it set to Smart Animate. And 500. But we can also change that to things like bouncy, and we can see that looks like. So if you want to do something like that, you can definitely do something like that. I'm just going to leave it on ease out for now. And I think that's fine. Let's talk about position. Figma will recognize if an object's location, that means its X and Y coordinates have changed. It will then animate that object moving from its current position to its position in the destination. So in this destination frame, it's obviously turned on. Another thing I'm going to just sneak in here is that you put these properties together. So I have position and I have fill. So I'm changing the color as well. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to go to my position flow. And you can see that I have that sliding. If I go into here, I can see that fill is in the background and we have the toggle on top. And this one over here, we can see the fill and toggle are the exact same name as in this frame. And their structure is exactly the same. So that's really important. Let's talk about opacity next. Some opacity Smart Animate can also recognize a layer or object's opacity. You can adjust opacity to make an object to appear or disappear between frames. So let's see what that means. Whoa. So you saw that we have reduced the opacity on the top half in this gradient, and now it's bleeding. Through the backgrounds, bleeding through. And let's take a quick look at that. So if we look at our design, you can see that in the frame, we have that full linear gradient. But in this frame, we have removed the opacity from the top portion. And that's super cool. Let's jump into the next one, rotation. So Smart Animate also takes the layer rotation and orientation into account. So if I click this, we can spin. Pretty simple. I just spin. I just rotate the whole frame over here, called rotation. It's actually a group, so I actually quickly rotate it, and you can see over here it's a 0. And at this point, it's a 180 degrees. And then the last one is fill. So Figma will also animate any changes to an object's fill. That means it's allow you to animate changes between colors, gradients, and even images. So we're changing the fill of the background, and the circle just based off its click. And that's you intro to Smart Animate and all the properties you can actually animate. We're going to work within our resource now. I have a bunch of different prototypes set up, and I want to talk about. The first one is the Parallax website intro. I'm going to press play so you can see what we're going to work towards here. So if I come into here and go to Parallax, and I can see this. If I press, you see all these items coming in at different times, but also they're all just like nicely fading in. So I will show you how to achieve this type of interaction. So this is a nice showcase, like when you have a website that you just want to show them, like the intro. Now what I've done here, you can copy this and attend it as well. I've done is I've actually gone in and really hard to see because I have everything named the same. Everything is basically, you can see it in the frame prior. If you are in the prototype tab over here, if I click on this frame, I can see it's all the way down. So I'm going to be using the properties of opacity and position. So the position of this is lower. Some with this one, I have them lower, but I have them scattered at different things. So that means I have them, coming in, at different speeds. You see how they all kind of trigger a bit. So I will show you what I mean. So I'm actually going to take this as a copy. I'm going to make another copy. Just besides it. And I'm going to call this my Parallax AV2, and you can follow along and try this with me. So I'm going to move this up here. I'm going to start my flow on this one. I'm going to call this Parallax V2. Okay, so this one's really easy. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to keep this large image and the small image together. And I'm just going to bring them down. So, it's not like too big or like a movement from here to here. I don't want them to be like flying in at the same time, like super quickly. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move it to my design tab now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the opacity of both of them. So they are no longer visible. And same with this. I'm going to bring this down. I'm not changing the layer structure at all. I'm just moving these items little by little. That one too. And then this one, if you want everything to come in at the same time, you need to like basically move everything together as one item all the way down. But I don't want that. And then I'm going to like move these together. Well, first I move the bottom down a little bit because I want that to trigger. And then there we go. Now we have that down there. Then I'm going to just use the pass through the opacity to remove that. And then as you notice, when I loaded that transition, I didn't have like a click. What I did was I went to after delay and I'm going to just set it like 300 milliseconds. And then we'll go to Smart Animate and we're just going to keep it super simple. We'll just stick with that, the ease out. It's going to slide in really gently and we can go and take a look at what we used here in terms of the timing. So I have 1,000 milliseconds, so I can do the exact same. So I have 1,000, which is like 1 second. Let's take a look if we are able to replicate. Bingo. So we have a nice little animation here and everything has come together really nicely. Now you can see like, okay, there's not a lot of movement here. This one kind of matches up too much with that portion, so we can find this, bring it down more. We have this one, that one over here, and we can bring this one down more. Now, let's see. Nice. The only thing that I don't like is this one is, kind of moving at the same speed. There we go. So now we have our own animation and things are looking really beautiful. And that's how you create some parallax effects. And remember, from screen to screen, all you're doing is you're basically moving items at different positions. They're going to be at different positions, so you can do them in one shot. You can kind of trigger it in screens, and it's a nice way to just showcase how, envision like a website loading, or you envision like your product loading in certain way because there's a parallax in apps and mobile products and stuff like that. So definitely a great way to communicate that to developers, the teams and clients, and also for your portfolio.